They say danger wears many masks. Sometimes it's sharp, sometimes it's subtle. And sometimes it looks like kindness. A friendly offer for a ride home on a rainy night. But I learned the hardest way that what seems safe can shift in an instant. That's how one ordinary night spun me into a storm of temptation, betrayal, and choices I can never take back. My name is Lauren Mitchell. I was 29 at the time this happened, working as an assistant manager at a downtown restaurant in Chicago. My life was steady if not predictable. Early mornings, long shifts, late nights. My co-workers became like family, and most evenings I closed the restaurant alongside them. It wasn't glamorous, but it was real. And sometimes, in between the routine and exhaustion, you crave something that feels alive. Something different. I didn't know that night would be the one to give me exactly that, at a price. It was raining hard that night. I remember staring out the glass doors of the restaurant as thunder rolled in the distance. My shift had run late, and by the time I clocked out, the streets glistened under broken streetlights. My car was in the shop, and the thought of waiting for a late-night bus felt miserable. That's when Ethan Carter, one of the newer line cooks, leaned against the doorframe with his jacket draped over his arm. "Need a lift?" he asked casually. Ethan was 32. Tall, with dark hair that always fell into his eyes when he worked, and a quiet confidence that set him apart from the chaos of the kitchen. He wasn't flashy, but there was something magnetic about him. He'd only been with us a few months, but he was already the kind of guy everyone liked. I hesitated. "I don't want to bother you." He smirked. "It's pouring. You'll drown out there before the bus even shows." I laughed nervously, then nodded. "Hey, thanks." That simple agreement, that yes, was the first step into everything that followed. His truck was parked just down the street. A beat-up black Chevy with worn leather seats that smelled faintly of cedarwood and rain. He opened the passenger door for me, a small gesture that felt oddly intimate. The drive started quietly, the hum of the engine blending with raindrops tapping against the roof. We talked about work, how hectic the night had been, how our manager always micromanaged. But soon the conversation shifted, deeper than I expected. "Do you ever feel like you're just stuck?" he asked, eyes fixed on the road. I looked at him, surprised by the vulnerability. "All the time," I admitted. "Like I'm just waiting for life to really start." He nodded. "Exactly." Something passed between us then. A silent understanding, like we were both restless souls trapped in routines we didn't ask for. The streetlights blurred through the rain, and in that moment the air between us felt charged. When we pulled up outside my apartment, I reached for the handle, but it didn't budge. Ethan had locked the doors. I turned to him, startled. Before I could say anything, he leaned closer, his voice low. "Lauren, I don't want this night to end yet." My heart hammered. 1,000 thoughts raced through me. Part of me wanted to protest, to tell him it was late, that this was just a ride. But another part, the reckless, yearning part, leaned into the tension. I swallowed hard. "What are you saying?" His eyes searched mine, intense but gentle. "I don't know. Just don't go yet." For a moment the world outside disappeared. It was just us, locked inside that truck, caught in something that felt both dangerous and inevitable. Instead of leaving, we just talked. 4 hours. About life, regrets, dreams we never told anyone else. Ethan confessed he was separated from his wife, though not officially divorced. "We were high school sweethearts," he said, staring out the windshield. "But somewhere along the way we stopped seeing each other. She moved out last year. We're just signing papers at this point." I listened, torn between sympathy and caution. I had been with my boyfriend Matt for nearly 3 years. Things weren't bad between us, but they weren't alive either. We had slipped into routine, into comfort without passion. And here I was, sitting next to a man who made my pulse race just by looking at me. At some point, Ethan reached across the console, his hand brushing against mine. I froze, staring at our hands touching lightly as if testing a boundary. I should have pulled away. I should have reminded him that I was taken, that he was still technically married. But I didn't. I let his hand rest against mine. And when he finally intertwined our fingers, it felt like fire running through my veins. The silence between us wasn't awkward anymore. It was heavy, thick with everything we weren't saying out loud. Finally, he whispered, "Tell me to stop and I will." But I didn't. That night ended with nothing more than lingering touches and a kiss that hovered just shy of real. But it was enough. Enough to awaken something I'd been denying for years. Over the next weeks, things shifted. Ethan and I stole moments, brief conversations in the storage room, glances across the kitchen line, rides home that always lasted longer than they should. We never crossed the line completely, but the desire lived between us like a flame we were both afraid and desperate to feed. One Friday night after a brutal shift, he drove me home again. We sat in the parked truck, the rain falling harder than before. "I can't keep pretending this doesn't mean something," he said, voice raw. My chest ached. "Ethan, you feel it too," he pressed. "Don't tell me you don't." I closed my eyes. "I do. But I have Matt. And you. Me and her. That ended a long time ago. You know that." Silence stretched between us. I felt the weight of every choice pressing down. And then without another word he kissed me. It wasn't gentle. It wasn't polite. It was desperate, hungry, filled with all the tension we'd bottled up. And I kissed him back. We didn't go further that night. But the line had been crossed. And once it was, nothing felt the same. At home, Matt noticed my distance. "You're quiet lately," he said one morning over coffee. I brushed it off, blaming stress. At work, Ethan and I avoided eye contact in public, but behind closed doors, the energy was undeniable. It was intoxicating and terrifying. I knew it couldn't last. That secrets like this always surface. The breaking point came one night when Matt surprised me with dinner at my favorite restaurant. He looked at me across the table with tired but hopeful eyes. "I know things haven't been easy," he said. "But I want us to work. I love you, Lauren." And in that moment I realized I was standing on a cliff. One wrong step could destroy everything. That night I ended it with Ethan. I told him we couldn't keep going. That no matter how much I wanted him, it wasn't right. His jaw tightened, but he nodded. "I get it," he said quietly. "But just so you know, you'll always wonder." And he was right. It's been years since that night. Matt and I eventually broke up, not because of Ethan but because we grew apart. I never told him the truth. Ethan left the restaurant soon after. I don't know where he is now. But sometimes when it rains I remember that night in his truck. The locked doors. The fire in his eyes. The choices I made and the ones I didn't. And I wonder what life would look like if I had chosen differently. Some rides change your destination forever. If this story stirred something in you, if you've ever stood at the edge of temptation, torn between safety and desire, remember, every choice carries a cost. Share your thoughts in the comments. Like this story if it moved you. Subscribe for more raw, emotional storytelling that digs into the places we often keep hidden. Because sometimes, the most ordinary nights are the ones that change everything.